SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Hello, and welcome to the 200th episode of the iGaming Daily. My name is Andrew McCarran. I am the Managing Director at SBC, and it's a pleasure to be in your ears. As expected, last week's industry focus was zoned in on a bustling ICE 2024 conference, which is the last one at London's Dockland XL. Yet away from the industry's conference proceedings, the affairs of European gambling continue to unfold, concerning key markets and their respective agendas. Or should that be agenda? Italy's autonomous regions and municipalities backed the government's proposed reorganisation decree, but they demand a guarantee on funding to implement key changes. Also this week, the Dutch Kamer is scheduled to vote on a further KOA Act with gambling reforms, including the mandate to implement a €150 spend restriction to be imposed on the gambling accounts of customers aged under 24. And meanwhile, the French heavyweight FDJ demands that the Kindred Group exit a problematic Norwegian market to guarantee its €2.6 billion buyout of the company. As I said, I'm Andrew McCarran. Joining me today is Ted Benmuir. Hello, Ted.
Hi, Andy. How's it going?
Good. Have you recovered from ice?
Yeah, I had a bit of the traditional post-ice cold. I'm not going to call it a flu, but just...
Yeah, it's freshest flu for everyone. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And also with us today is senior journalist Victor Kayad. Victor, how are you going?
Hey, Andy. If I'm being honest, I'm a bit nervous being on the podcast with figures like yourself and Ted, but I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling confident. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you'll blow our socks off. In the short term, I need to give you a message from our sponsor. Optimove is the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. 56% of the EGR Power 50 personalised player experiences with Optimove. As another special offer, Optimove are offering new clients a free first month when they buy Optimove product. For more information and to claim the first free month, go to optimove.com/SBC. That's optimove.com/SBC. Links will also be left in the podcast episode description. Okay, so kicking off. Ted, how are your thoughts on ice and, how it's going to go for the rest of the industry moving to Barcelona next year?
Yeah, I mean, I had a busy ice. I was mainly speaking to regulatory actors in the European scene. And it seems like an end of an era with ice moving away from London and going to Barcelona. I think also that the hope there is that the show is kind of more reflective of the overall European market, which is always hard for it because it's got to represent not only kind of the iGaming sector, but the land-based incumbents. But on the regulatory front, and as we're going to talk about it today, everything's up in the air, but everyone hopes that 2024 will be a year of resolutions, as you know.
And Vic, you missed out on ice this year. So what were your thoughts, Vic, when you visited last year?
Last year, I was already super huge convention. I imagine this year's was even bigger, being the last one held in London. Lots of opportunities, lots of contacts I managed to make, valuable contacts. So, yeah, pretty interesting experience. It's very cool to see the new products being presented to a live audience, the products that we usually write about from a distance. It's really nice to see them up close and how they can really carry the next wave in the industry.
That's good. I mean, Ted, you said you were talking to a lot of European regulators. I know I caught you speaking to Tim Miller, one of the main people at the UK Gambling Commission. I just wondered if we could get a flavour of the conversation you had with him.
Yeah. Well, I was joining the conversation with Johnny Whelan, and
that's our head of relationships in Europe.
Thank you. And we kind of reflected on the journey of the gambling review since it's been called, and also how the industry has responded to that, the UKGC's engagement with industry leadership, especially in the core matters. And he spoke about the upcoming kind of survey and
you mean the consultations that they're bringing out?
No,
or is it
yeah.
survey?
We spoke about the consultations, but there's going to be an actual survey on gambling prevalence within the UK, a revamped one, and also gambling disorders.
Okay, that's quite interesting news, that, because they haven't done a proper full-on prevalence study, I think, since 2010. So this was always meant to go hand in hand with the Gambling Act of 2005. Yeah. So it's about time the another one was done properly. So
it's a big year for them, in which they've got to kind of deliver on key mandates. And also we spoke about kind of the internal restructures of what the UKGC is going through with Andrew Rhodes and its relationship with the industry and how that is evolving too. But I was pleased with the way the interview went, and writing that up as we speak. And it gives me confidence that we got a regulator that cares and that understands just what a layered debate it's in, and it is genuinely concerned about all the stakeholders within the consultation. Yeah, I kind of got the feeling that the Commission is trying to dig itself out of a hole that it's put itself in over the last 5 years. But I'm assuming the conversation was before our esteemed Prime Minister Rishi Sunak did a rather high-profile bet on TV. I was not aware of that. So there was no commission comment on a £1,000 person-to-person bet. Yeah, but I mean, one of the conversations we had was on enforcement and what we're seeing in the industry, and bringing kind of transparency to the way it kind of proceeds with penalties and how it takes these decisions. So I was very pleased that we got a very regulator that's on the front and can admit that it is dealing with difficult matters. Yeah, well, I mean, they've been dealt a hard hand to play, but they seem to be going in the right way about it. So Italy. With these regional presidents and the municipal councillors back in this reorganisation decree, why is that good news for the industry? I think, to put it simply, it's the ball is rolling in Italy, and it's another procedure where Italy, the way it's structured, it's got 20 autonomous regions and 100 municipalities, and they need to get behind kind of any federal reform. Now, it's a bit of good news and bad news. The good news is that, yes, the Centro the Conferenza Unificata, which is the federal body that's charged with facilitating cooperation between autonomous regions, and the government has approved the reforms and has backed the reorganisation decrees. It says that this is essential to kind of modernising land-based gambling. The issue here is that the decree is yet to be budgeted out, and the municipalities believe that it's going to cost upwards of about 350 million for them to undertake the changes and actually implement an effective framework for safer gambling and change the laws around land-based gambling venues.
Brazil, a global economic powerhouse, deeply passionate about sports, and now home to one of the hottest markets in gaming. And we're giving it the full SBC treatment. Join industry leaders, market experts, and all the major players in the country for 3 days of content, exhibition, and epic networking at the first ever SBC Summit Rio.
Pretty hardcore, given the given that the new round of licenses are going to be coming up for grabs soon in Italy as well. Victor, have you seen anything on the Italy story?
Yeah, I've actually managed to read that the reorganization decree could potentially bring up the question of unfair competition, because according to the decree, there's going to be a €7 million authorization fee for each online gambling license that's going to be approved in the future, which is around 35-fold increase from the €200,000 charged since 2018. So it goes without saying that only the most capable operators will be able to afford such a license. So definitely interesting to see how this moves forward as well. The government is very aware of that, because while actually approving the decree in early January this year, it actually withheld from taking further action because it wanted to observe how many of the 83 operators will take on the new gambling license, and expected for them to be at least 50. But definitely a competition question in this new regulatory regime.
Yeah, like I said, the key there is more. It's not exactly. It's more proving to the operators who do buy into it that everybody who doesn't go out of it can no longer get access to the market, which is where the blacklisting approach comes in. I mean, Italy's always been an interesting market when it comes to gambling regulation. For years they were always finding, always getting knocked back by the European courts, but then it was Italy that found a way to make something, make the regulation more local than the .com model. So that I've had plenty of experience in working around gambling legislation there. Bit further north, in the Netherlands. What can you tell me about the KOA Act, Ted, and what's wrong with it, I guess?
Well, the KOA Act continues to kind of divide politics in the Netherlands. It's got very visible opposition to it in the Kamer, and it's the thing about the KOA Act is that it continues to be. It's undertaking its ongoing revision. I think 2 years after being implemented, and again, you've got the Dutch government that has implemented amendments that has put in kind of tighter gambling restrictions, safer gambling duties, and also customer care. However, there is kind of opposition. There is opposition that it doesn't go far enough. The CDA, which are kind of the loudest opponents to the KOA Act, state that they will seek for it to be terminated should the Netherlands go into election again. And this week they got a critical vote coming in on further amendments to be implemented. One will be on a monthly compulsory check on any gambling account that spends over 350 euros, and as endorsed by Legal Protections Minister Frank Verwind, they want to implement a spend cap of 150 euros on every gambling account under the age of 24. So safer gambling is at the top of the Dutch government's agenda, but it is even in that it is divided across the parties on what approach they should take.
So yeah, Victor, this sounds like a very familiar thing for the UK that we have in the UK market around the affordability limits.
If I can just circle back to the Dutch market, because there's something I want to ask Ted as an expert. From what we see, the CDA, like you've mentioned, is a vivid opponent to the KOA Act. However, they actually supported a proposal put in early February by another party, Christian Uni, for the universal financial spending limit that you mentioned. So, which aims to amend the KOA Act for it to be better. So, what do you see in CDA's actions? Are they actually against the KOA Act, or do they want to make it better? I'm talking about the CDA party. What do you think, Ted?
Okay, so put simply, I think the CDA really want a much more stringent and tougher Dutch gambling market in terms of consumer protections, financial checks, but I also think in terms of licensing and how the market is structured. I think that they believe that there's too many players, there's too many kind of irresponsible brands. It should be a much smaller market in terms of competition and who can be supervised within the KOA. They were even talking about gathering kind of cross-party support to put in the mandate to just terminate the act completely last year. Now, the Dutch government, I think since 2001, when KOA came in, they have had a quarterly revision of the laws, and they've actually been kind of very academic in how the KOA Act is reviewed. So Frank Vervin said, look, the mandate was given to me by 21 experts, right? And I've stuck to their recommendations on how the KOA market should be reformed. And although the Ministry of Justice is likely to be reshaped in the coming months due to kind of an inconclusive Dutch election, Frank Vervin is maintaining his position as legal ministers. So they're sticking to his agenda of what gets put through or what will be debated on by the Kamer.
So is there a chance for the KOA Act to be completely terminated, do you think?
It depends. It depends on the shape of the next government, what their vision for gambling is. I think that you're looking at a market that's each 6 months is going to get more and more stringent on laws. And I think across the Dutch parties, the sentiment is that they want a much more controllable marketplace with fewer operators, especially on the online element, and they much want a deeper control of online casino games, especially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Thank you. This is something that was bothering me. So, who else to ask except besides you, mate? Thank you very much.
So with a €350 limit, it's not a great place for Rishi Sunak or Piers Morgan to have one of their private bets, is it? Mind you, I'm sure Rishi is one of the UK's richest ever prime ministers.
But Andy, look, I mean, returning back to financial restrictions and coming back from ICE, I mean, this has been in the agenda for every regulator and trade body that we spoke to. That look, there has to be a level of control somewhere, and it's that what benchmark do you set it, how do you apply it, and what is the technical provision of applying it through the industry? How can that be effective? So again, in Holland, a lot of the conversation is how do you apply something technical to 27 licensed operators? Whilst in the UK, is how would that be applicable to the thousands of online casinos and thousands of sports books that we have online?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, away from regulations, we've got Kindred and their potential link up with the FDJ. But we've got Norway, where Kindred has been making some cash, but the FDJ as a white-than-white operator is a bit down on Norway. So what's going to happen there?
Okay, look, we're getting kind of further transparency on what FDJ want from Kindred. And that got put out last week when Kindred announced their results, which signalled to the second year of consecutive revenue declines. FDJ, put simply, has ordered Kindred to exit the Norwegian market, and that's like a definitive term that guarantees their buyout. for 2.6 billion euros. That's supported by the majority shareholders. So it looks like Kindred in the coming months will be having a controlled exit out of Norway. And again, this kind of feeds into Kindred's ongoing revision of markets across Europe.
Was Norway a particular big market for Kindred, or is it going to materially affect the bottom line?
Oh, yes, it will. Yes, I mean, Norway significantly, alongside Sweden, would have been in Kindred's kind of top four markets. It was a market that needed revision anyhow because, okay, Norway's not the biggest country in the world, but its spend per player was very big, was very significant to Kindred. And I think that the Kindred's ongoing strategy, FTJ's vision of Kindred, of combining itself with Kindred, is that it will be 100%. They will only operate 100% across regulated markets. So I think that this is a mandate that needed to be fulfilled.
No, well, that sounds like definitely one that's going to run on in the next couple of months. We're running out of time, which is a shame for our 200th episode. So I just want to say thank you to Ted and thank you to you, Victor. And just to share my gratitude to the team that put this together to make it to the episode 200 mark. We've been listened to in 121 countries so far, anywhere from Albania to Zimbabwe. So thanks to all you listeners out there as well. This is Andrew McCarran signing off.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.